How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Wavelengths, another great episode with another great guest, Eric Hubbs of Barstool Sports and the Short Porch podcast. How are you doing tonight, sir?
What's going on, man? Thanks for having me.
Not a problem. So, you are obviously the host of Short Porch, a big Yankee fan. Now, the Houston Astros came to town last week. Obviously, you can't take back what happened, but was last week any kind of closure or not really?
uh Closure, no, but it was nice. I don't think you can get closure from what they did. Unless we knock them out of the playoffs this year, then that's like, okay. If they knock them out of the playoffs this year and go on to win the World Series, then I won't ever like talk about it again. Like, I don't care. It was nice to get their licks in. For anyone who said like they didn't have any right to boo them, I don't understand that. We didn't have a season with fans last year. And the Astros got a complete pass, and they still got a pass this time because there's only 20% capacity for Yankee Stadium, which is nothing. It's 10,000 fans, so they really got it easy. Is it closure? No, but I needed something, so it was nice to get what they did, and the fact that they won the series is nice. Would have loved the sweep, but I'll take it. It was a lot of fun. I was happy to be there on Tuesday.
I'm glad you brought up the limited attendance. At Yankee Stadium, especially one of the louder ballparks in the MLB, is it very noticeable, the less noise, or does it sound about the same like it does on TV?
Um, I mean, it's definitely loud. It's still, you can definitely still hear the noise, the roar. Especially on Tuesday, the first Astros game, like if you're just watching the field and listening, it still feels like it still felt like a playoff game. Every single person was screaming, booing, jeering, all that. But I mean, yeah, it's not 50,000 people, so there is definitely a difference. But you take what you can get. It's going to go up at the end of the month or towards the end of the month when they come back from this road trip, to like 33%, which would be nice, maybe even higher. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, there's nothing like a packed Yankee Stadium house. It's not the same, but I'll take some fans, yeah, rather than last year. It's nothing.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see because a lot of places it seems about the same. They might still pipe in a little bit for TV, and then other places it's like, oh, they have fans now. Like
Yeah,
the Marlins, you wouldn't be able to tell.
no, no, no,
So
no.
you work at Barstool Sports. I'm curious, how did you get your start there?
Um, so I went to Syracuse, graduated 2016. Didn't have a high GPA, didn't do any extracurriculars, didn't have any job offers, nothing. I wasn't even in probably the right major. I just did a major because they let me in. And I originally took a cold calling job in the city. I live in Jersey at the time, and it was just something decent pay just to get my feet on the ground, get some money in my pocket, in my bank account, whatever. Lived at home while I did this, commuted. It was basically cold calling 300 businesses a day. Terrible. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. It was horrific. Like, did it for as long as I could, which was basically 4 months, maybe a little less. And it's just a horrible place. They time you in the bathroom. They listen to your phone calls. They yell at you all the time. You got to stick to your script. It was awful. And that was fall 2016. Oh, well, it was about to become fall 2016. And Barstool was moving to the city, to New York City, where as before that they were, they were all remote. Where there was Chicago, Philadelphia, Boston, New York, DC, some people in Texas. It was all over the place. So they're all coming together in New York and under one office and create content that way. And I was obviously a big Barstool fan from my college days. And everyone was doing their intern search and all that, and I knew I wouldn't stand out that way. But Keith Markovich K. Marco, he just became the editor in chief, and he wasn't looking for an intern, or at least he didn't know he was looking for an intern. And basically reached out to him, was like, "Hey, like, I know you just became the editor in chief, and you got all these new responsibilities. Like, I'm sure you need some help. Willing to do it for free. Work for you under earn my keep. See if I can build a rollout. All that." He brought me in for an interview, which was crazy to me at the time, and basically said I was like overqualified because, I guess I had a degree and like, I guess a person with a degree for what he was asking for, or didn't even know what he was asking for at the time. He's like, you're wasting your time here. But I was like, dude, you don't understand how bad my old job is. Like, I'll do anything just to have a fresh start, especially here. And he brought me in. I was unpaid for like 6 months, and I worked my ass off and did whatever role I could possibly carve out, creating things to do for him that he didn't even know he needed to be done. And from there, he let me blog a little bit because I did have a writing background from Syracuse, and worked my way up from there to get more responsibilities, and eventually start writing about the Yankees a little bit here and there, and then eventually became the full-time Yankee guy, and now more responsibilities since then. And that's basically the shortened version of it.
So working at Barstool with the short porch, it must be interesting hosting a Yankee oriented podcast for a company that started in Boston and still has very many ties. Obviously, if you know Barstool and you know baseball, you know about Jared Carrabis. So
Yep.
does that ever come into play, the fact that you're kind of the outsider in a Boston based company, but now in the big city and hosting, I don't want to say a rival podcast, but it's interesting, I would think.
Well, it helps that we're in New York and not Boston. But definitely when I first started, when I was like the 55th employee, now we're up to like 200 people. But like when, I'm like still at 55 compared to where we are now, I'm in there fairly early compared to where we are now. And yeah, a little bit, definitely a disadvantage, in terms of like gaining fans and all that, because it is a Boston or originated website and all that. But I thought, it's fun to be against those people and, have to play the villain role in that sense. So I thrive. I thoroughly enjoy it. Like I don't mind when people scream my name in a bad manner, or, come at me or whatever. I just laugh it off. Like I don't care. I think it's all fun. But then, yeah, being in New York and being able to go to Yankee games whenever I can, and creating, and it helps that the podcast is good, and we've gotten some good, we got lucky to get some good interviews and all that, and build it up from where it used to be. But no, definitely agree with you that, like, yeah, it definitely was weird at first. It's, to take on the New York role for a Boston based website, but we're so big now that, like, there's people from all over. We've got fans of almost anywhere these days. So it's not as weird now, but it definitely was weird at first.
So when you were a kid, I assume you played baseball.
Yeah, my whole life. My whole life.
Was there a time when in your playing career you were like, unfortunately, this won't be my profession?
Yeah. When I realized I wasn't going to grow past 5'9", I thought that was probably an issue. And no, I mean, I was fairly good. I was never I grew up with the kids in my grade and the grade above were unreal. Like state championships and all that. I just was never on their level. I was solid, but I could never like be at their level. And if I can't be at their level in high school, I'm not gonna be the level in college and major league. So, I was realistic, and from the get-go, I always wanted to be like a sports agent or something like that, or a sports announcer. I realized like I didn't have it. I was always, I pride myself athletically of being good, acceptable at almost anything, not like elite at anything, but like I can hold my own in almost anything. So I took that. I'll take that. If I can play any sport, fine. I don't have to play it exceptionally well. But I was pretty good at baseball, but never did I ever think that I was going to be a major league player. That never crossed my mind. Maybe like at 5 years old or 10 years old or whatever. But like once my brain started to actually settle in, that never crossed my mind.
I'm glad you brought up agents, because that brings me to a different kind of question. Trevor Bauer kind of always seems to be in the news this offseason, especially. Almost at the forefront with them is his agent, Rachel Luba. I'm
Yeah.
curious your thoughts on her, because for me, I love what she and Trevor do for the game. I like that we see kind of behind the curtain and have agents with personality and aren't afraid to express themselves. So I'm curious how you feel about her role in his decision making.
Yeah, I think she's great for the sport and trailblazing, for women in sports, which we need more of, obviously. And I think she does a great job. And she did a good job negotiating his contract and all that, got him paid. I don't necessarily agree with how they handled their whole offseason, with like, this circus act and taking as long as they did, and, tying everything to their YouTube channel. Like every single thing was tied to the YouTube channel. And the way they handled the Mets thing, even though I don't care for the Mets, but I just thought
Yeah,
that was so lame how they handled it. And then he claims that like he went for a walk and it changed his mind. It's like, come on, man. Like, what are you talking about here? So I don't necessarily agree with that, but I do like what she's done in terms of growing the sport and, and being kind of a role model for women to get in the sport, and someone's got to knock through that door eventually. So good on them. But obviously I just, I like his YouTube channel and I think it's great to see the behind the scenes. But I just don't really like how they handle the offseason.
Yeah, as a Mets fan, the whole T-shirt release early fiasco.
Exactly. Yeah, all
it
that.
still
It's
gets
like,
brought up to me. It's like, yeah, I know, like it happened. So on the other side, as a Mets fan, Brody Van Wagenen spent the last couple of years as a GM. He obviously didn't work out, depleted the farm system. So how do you feel about agents taking front office roles? And do you think Brody should be an outlier, or that's how you think most agents would perform in that role?
I think it's weird, especially because he's negotiating these contracts and then he's becoming their GM. Like, what didn't he negotiate DeGrom's contract and then just basically became his GM or whatever, something like that?
I think literally in the middle of the negotiations, he was like, "Oh, I have to sit on the other side now." So
yeah. See, that's like when it's a conflict, when it's like, I guess when you're the agent and you become a GM of a team where you don't have any, clients or whatever, it's a little better. But like, I feel like it's super weird when you have multiple clients on the team that you just became the GM of. I think that's like, I don't understand. I feel like there should be a little bit of separation between church and state in that situation. So definitely weird. I can't see it in the near future of that happening again. Just because it was such a disaster. Now, granted, like he was an idiot, but he just made terrible moves. But I think it was just a super weird situation, and I think there's plenty of good GMs out there and front office guys to promote rather than an agent.
yeah, it's obviously unfortunate, especially when similar to Tom Thibodeau, wherever he goes, he brings in his guys. Brody brought in
Right.
a lot of his guys, and the Mets are still suffering through Robinson Cano's contract. DeGrom, happy he's here, unfortunately on the IL.
Hellenic just got promoted.
I saw that, and that's really cool. Happy for Seattle. Maybe we'll get 10 years too. So with the Yankees, I obviously I've seen a lot of your stuff and you listen to your podcast. It's this team, the way they've been performing this year, and Aaron Boone especially. I'm curious. This is now year 4 of the Aaron
Yep.
Boone. Okay, year 1, as a Mets fan, across town rival, if you will. Year 1, I thought he did really well, and he always would wear that cool leather jacket. I always really liked that.
Yeah.
So he's always done enough, and then they kept winning, and then the shortcomings in the postseason.
Right.
Now we're in year 4. I kind of feel like it's make it or break it time, and this year has been an interesting start. How would you grade his performance only a month into his 4th year?
Yeah, this is definitely make it or break it. His contract's up. Whereas they just picked up his option to come into this year. It's not like they offered him a new deal. And yeah, with this team and the way it's assembled, and Aaron Judge is getting up there in his age, and these guys are running out of team control and all that. So it's like we got to do something with this core for sure. We got to get to not get to a World Series by now is crazy. And obviously the Astros have something to do with that, but still inexcusable. And it's tough to really grade Boone because the front office is so much control with this team, with this, with the lineups every day, and who should pitch to who and how many pitches is this guy going to go, and who knows how even deeper it gets. It's there's rumors, but there's never, it's not concrete and they'll never admit it. But what Boone needs to do, and his job mainly, is to be the face of the team. And I think he's so bad at it. And I think the answers he gives the media and the way he handles Aaron Judge's off days and stuff, and it's like, it's just so bad. It makes Aaron Judge look bad. It makes the whole team look bad. Especially the recent memory where he said Judge needed a day off because of traveling. It's like, you can just say he needs like we're just giving him a day off. It was a scheduled day off, whatever. You don't have to say that he's sore from traveling from Cleveland to Baltimore. It's like, it's little things like that that just irk me, and it makes the Yankees not look as strong as they should. And that's when he needs to be. Is he's just this puppet, and he needs to say the right things to the media, and I just don't think he does a good job of that. And also, he's very tentative to kind of go at these guys, and he tries to be everyone's friend. And I just don't think they need that. And obviously the reason they went away from Girardi was because he kind of went at the guys too much and he didn't agree with the front office. So they went with a guy who's going to completely obey the front office, and he's not going to really say much to the players. And he's not going to go with Gary Sanchez and challenge him. And they need something in between. They need something between a Girardi and a Boone. They don't need one or the other. Now, who that is, I got no idea. And that's an offseason decision. But I just don't think he gives the right answers to the media. And he finally challenged the players recently, and I guess they like him and all that, but I think they need a better guy. I love Buck Showalter. I'd love for them to bring him in. I think he embraces analytics, but also being that guy who's going to go at players. But I don't necessarily agree that I also think that the front office could have the total control that they want over him. So that probably is the pushback there. But in short, I don't think the Boone's the right guy for the team.
A very common debate between friends of mine that are Yankee fans and I is Clint Frazier. Before I ask you the question, I think there's a reason why Brett Gardner has started over him the past few years, and that Brett Gardner starting over Clint Frazier, I think it's not made into a big enough deal because this should be Frazier's job.
Yep.
And Gardner shouldn't have to play every day at now 36, last year 35. So I'm curious with Clint Frazier, how you feel about him.
I love Clint. And I've gone back and I've had a roller coaster with Clint. At first, I didn't like him, and he knew he knew I didn't like him either. And we kind of went at it, and he was not a fan of me. And over the years, we've become close, and he's come on the podcast, and I think we've completely blown things over. And I consider us just very friendly. And that's just, I think he's just a super talented player. Obviously, a really rough start to 2021. Now, why I don't know. He was so good last year, and he practically carried this team for a month and a half when everyone was hurt. He did such a good job with him and Luke, just really the only guys who were breathing on this team in the second half of the season, which was, I guess, 30 games, whatever. But he was so good last year, and he's improved so much in the field. And I respect so much of that because he was a big problem a couple of years ago, in 2018, 2019, he was a problem. And he's now, whether he needs to make the dives or not, he makes the plays. And he's got a rocket arm. He's just so talented. And I think he's really matured in how he handles the media. And I hate, I've been anti-Gardner for a little bit now. I appreciate what he's done for this team. Obviously, he's one of the longest tenured guy on the team. But I really didn't want them to bring him back. And I was a big Mike Tauchman guy. I didn't want them to trade him. And the reason they traded him is because Brett Gardner's on the team, the same person, except Gardner makes a lot more money than him, comparatively speaking. Not a whole lot of money, but for, the difference, it was $1 million compared to $9 million. So it's I don't know. It's nice that he's on the team, I guess, right now because so many guys are struggling and you never know when Judge or Stan are going to go down. But I just hate that it's taking away from Clint's playing time. And granted, Clint hasn't done anything to really deserve the starting job since the season started, but I do think he's starting to come out of it. He's starting to hit the ball well and hard, and that's what he was not doing in April. He had the lowest exit velo, I think, in all of baseball in April. So that's changing at least, but it's frustrating, man, when and it's frustrating for him that he just can't be the starting guy every day. And then you got a guy like Aaron Hicks who goes out in center field every day and he doesn't do anything. I mean, granted, he's done a little bit lately, but for the most part, he's worthless. But he gets there every day, and Clint doesn't get the same luxury. So I just want Clint to play more, and I know he's so talented, and I want to see it come from him. He's so young, and there's a lot of potential with that guy that I really want to see.
You like the headband with his name on it?
Yeah, I don't mind it. He's different. He's just such an anti what the Yankees are about, and not in a bad way. It's just different. And he's he hangs, he's trying to throw the ball at Spike Lee and the Ryan Reynolds Blake Lively thing the other day and all that. I don't know. He's a little more outgoing than I guess the Yankees are used to seeing a guy. And the way he used to handle media. Now he's more buttoned up, but he likes to share his personality, and I like that.
So when you were growing up, what was the moment either you knew that baseball was going to be a huge passion of yours or the Yankees in particular?
I loved as a kid scoring games. Like with the scorecard and everything. I go to Modell's and just buy them when I ran them out. They gave you like 40 sheets or whatever. And I just loved it. And I can just sit through a game as a kid. Not now, obviously I can do it now easily. But like I could watch a game at 1 o'clock and go all the way down to the night game at 10 o'clock and just have no problem sitting there. As long as I got food and some drinks in front of me, whatever, I got no problem. Like other people get bothered by it. They can barely get through one game. They're like, oh, I'm such a football guy, and I love football and I love basketball and I love all the sports aside from really hockey. But I can watch baseball. I'm just a nut for it. And I love playing it. I love being a pitcher and being total control of the game. I think that's so fascinating. And like, other than being a quarterback, but then you don't play defense. I just love being a pitcher or shortstop and just being, the top position, being in total control of the game. And I just love everything about baseball. There's nothing I don't like about the sport.
So I want to ask you kind of an interesting question about baseball media. Obviously, you're a part of it with your podcast and being at Barstool. A lot of reporters, it seems more so in baseball than other sports, are just straight up wrong. So is that just bad information, or are they just not as good at what they do as, let's say, Schefter or Woj?
You're talking about just reporting?
I don't want to name names, but yeah, just sometimes they report stuff and then it's like, no, that's not true at all.
I just think that's a problem of like just today's world. Obviously, if you're not Schefter, passing, whatever, but everyone just wants to be first. And it doesn't even have to do with sports. Like sometimes when people, like if celebrities die or whatever, people want to report it just to be the first guy, even though it could be inaccurate. You saw that with like Kobe's death and all that. There was so many inaccuracies because everyone wanted to be first. It's such a problem. It's a big problem in the media. It's all of it's not even just sports. And definitely it trickles down with baseball as well, probably more than other sports. And I don't know why it's just baseball, to be honest, or more baseball. But I really think as a whole, just in terms of just the media in general, everyone wants to be first. And I'd rather just be accurate than first. I just don't. Me personally, I don't care about breaking news. It just nothing. It does nothing for me. That's not why I have my job. I didn't get my job because I broke news. I just, I can break it here and there if I get lucky, but it's not something I like die for. Like, oh, give me a scoop, give me a source. Like I just don't care. I'll react to it. That's my job.
Yeah, it's really interesting, especially with you being in the New York market. It's just there's so many times the Bauer one might be an anomaly because even he didn't know what he was doing.
So he says, but yeah.
Well, yeah, but then certain people were like, oh, I know exactly where he's going. And then it was like, no, not even a little bit. So with that, the only guy I really trust is Passan because I feel like he really does have a clue.
Yeah, even Rosenthal's like been wrong lately, like or spottingly, where Passan's dead on. Yeah.
So now I kind of want to switch gears. I have Cuyler Huffman joining me. I want to ask you an interesting question. I want to start with you, Hubs. Rob Manfred introduced a lot of really bad rules last year, and some of them have stuck, some of them haven't. What would you say is your least favorite of these new rules?
Where do I start? I hate the runner on second and extra innings. I can't stand it. I don't necessarily hate. I get why they did it last year, and it's because 60 games, and who knows if teams are going to even finish 60 games when they first started this thing. It's like we got to play so many games in a row. There's only it was like 5 off days, I think, the whole year to start with teams. And that shrunk, by, if teams got Corona and all that. So I get it. Like, yeah, we can't have games go 16 innings in a 60 game season like this. And we can't afford teams to just burn their whole, roster, but now in 2021, where we're back to 162 and we have the virus fairly under control and teams are vaccinated and all that. Like, why are we doing this? So, and that comes to Rob Manfred just completely, this is all he wants to do is just ruin the sport. And, just guy's never played baseball. He played golf. I'm pretty sure he played golf in high school. I'm pretty sure he did not play high school baseball. So the guy just hates the sport, wants to change it for his better and to get fans that don't even care about the sport rather than care about the fans who actually do love the sport. And I honestly, if he did the runner on second base extra inning rule in like the 11th or 12th inning, I could be a little more on board. But to do in the 10th inning is so stupid to me. And it's just a circus. And these games are just, it's almost like better to be the away team, I think, statistically, with this runner on second rule. I can't stand it. There's a lot of shit I don't like, but that bothers me to the core. And it's biased because the Yankees just aren't good in these extra inning games for whatever reason. So I'm watching a lot of losses when they go in these extra inning rules. I think they're 2-3 this year, and last year don't think they were good either. So yeah, it really bothers me.
And it's like if you're on the fence about baseball and you watch a game in extra innings and you're like, oh look, there's a guy already in scoring position. This is now my new favorite sport. Like that doesn't help anybody.
Yeah, and or put him on first. Second is such it's like a little blooper, and like you just take the lead. Like what Chapman did on it was on Saturday in the 10th inning or what, ninth or 10th inning, whenever it came in. He gave a single to right, which the runner advanced to third. They gave a sac fly. So in a real game, that's just a runner on first base. and if you got a guy that's on first, then he gets first and second. So like Chapman, like the fact that produced a run is just so sickening. I was like, it's not what the game should be.
So since we're on the topic of Rob Manfred and things he's done wrong, baseball has a very big face of baseball problem. So is there someone to you that sticks out more so than the other, besides, the Trouts and the Harpers and now Tatis?
Yeah, I mean, Tatis has certainly got it. He's so likable and so entertaining, and he loves to, show his energy on the field. I love that. Trevor Bauer wants to be the face of baseball. I don't necessarily think it's going to happen. He's so arrogant sometimes. I don't know. It's Tatis to lose, in my opinion. Trout doesn't have it anymore. Yelich is too quiet. He just does his own. He's kind of Trout-esque, but he's funny when he does podcasts and stuff, but he just doesn't want to like bring it out really like in games and all that. Bellinger's just too relaxed. But like those are guys who have potential to do it. In terms of guys coming up, I guess put me on the spot. I don't know. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I really just think it's Tatis to lose. It's gonna be really tough to top him at this point.
Cuyler, LA Dodger fan.
Oh,
You brought up a Padre, kind of said some bad things about a couple of your boys. No Mookie Betts. I thought that was interesting. How do you feel about the subject?
I mean, Mookie Betts isn't the kind of guy that is going to draw a ton of attention off the field. I mean, on the field, he makes highlight plays as much as anyone else. But
he's just too quiet. He's just too quiet himself.
Yeah,
Great bowler, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's an awesome dude. Like, and he's like a super nice guy. I just think, like, I mean, in terms of talent, like he's right up there with Trout. So you could argue sometimes he's better than Trout. Like not all the time, but like sometimes, like last year he was unbelievable. But no, he just doesn't have that like energy and like the stuff that's going to capture like the young fans' mind that like Tatis does. I feel like Tatis is like kind of created for it.
So now
another guy would be Acuna, by the way. That's who I was. Acuna would be. He's the only, I think, the other fun guy that could get up there.
Also, Juan Soto, I would throw in there.
Yeah, Juan Soto too. Yep.
no Shohei love.
I mean, it's tough to be the face of base. Like, I mean, it's weird to say, but I feel like the fact he doesn't speak English hurts. Like, I mean, he's so talented, but like, I feel like to be the face of baseball in America, it puts you behind these guys to not and also playing in the Angels doesn't help. You're just stuck in the West Coast. I mean, it's Tatis, I guess, is obviously also in the West Coast, but I don't know. It's just something with Tatis that separates him or all these guys.
Yeah, I mean, I picked Shohei to win Cy Young and MVP. I think
Yeah.
MVP has a way better chance, and I think it's like one of the best stories. Well, if he could stay on the field and like actually do both for an entire season,
Crazy.
I think that would help.
Crazy.
But
yeah, the Cy Young's hard because you're going against DeGrom and Bauer and Bueller and everyone on the
Cole.
Dodgers. Yeah. Well, no, but if he's in the NL. Oh no, sorry. He's in the he's in the American League. He's not going against DeGrom. I don't know why I said that. Yeah, Cole, Bieber, a lot harder. MVP, although I don't know actually. Now I think about it, I don't know why I thought he was I don't know why I was thinking NL. I mean, Trout is having like the best season of his career. So far. So it might actually be easier for him to win the AL, the Cy Young. Now I think about it. It's hard either way. It's crazy what he's doing. He just has to stay healthy and it'll be so impressive.
I still don't know how you can pick someone else on the Angels to win MVP over Mike Trout, but that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, very hard.
I mean,
Every year he's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
so we are a month in. A lot of teams have struggled. Similar to that, reporters, a couple of teams have been jinxed since tweets were made of them. The Kansas City Royals, I think they've gone 2-15.
Yeah.
Someone, I forget who, I apologize, but they tweeted that it's the end of May and the Royals are in first.
It was passing. It was passing.
Yeah, unfortunate, but
As
you
usual.
know, they're not doing well. And
Yeah.
then there was one other team that somebody said, oh, they're doing really well, and then they've just fallen off a cliff. So,
Huh. Maybe the Brewers.
it really would have helped if I like wrote it down, but I unfortunately didn't.
Might be the Brewers. The Brewers really they were like 19-12 at one point. Now they're like 3 over. Might have been the Brewers. Oh no, the Angels. Got to be the Angels, right? The Angels were hot. The Angels were hot to start. Now they're just atrocious.
They're in last now. Yeah.
Negative 27 run differential.
It was the Dodgers when they started like 15-2.
Oh,
and they were on
yeah,
pace to go like 144-18.
Plaschke, I think it was Bill Plaschke said like they're the best team like ever.
Yeah, so 144 is unattainable now, but they'll still probably win the West. One guy I talked about a few weeks ago on the program, Yermin Mercedes, I talked about him and I was like, wow, this is a really cool start, but he's not going to keep it up. He's kind of kept it up, and Chicago has been a lot of fun to watch. And the AL Central is turning out to be a little more competitive, especially with Minnesota's struggles, and then they've kind of turned it around. And Byron Buxton is just finally becoming who we thought he was going to be. So that division is turning out to be like one of the better ones in baseball.
Yeah, for sure. It's weird that the Twins aren't winning any games. I can't believe they're like as bad as they are. Like Buxton to have this start and the Twins to be 12 and like if you show me Buxton's numbers to start the year, I'd be like, hey, it's May 10th. This is what he's hitting. They go, Twins are in first place. They're 12-20. That's crazy to me. That's like one of the bigger surprises I don't think anyone's talking about these days. But yeah, that division should be competitive. I think the Royals are better than what they've shown these last 10 games. I think they have a really cool offense. And they have guys to promote too, like Bobby Witt Jr. But Cleveland's been a surprise for sure. Losing Lindor, but still kind of their pitching. They just churn out pitching. They just know how to develop pitchers. And the White Sox are the White Sox. I do think the White Sox will probably pull away, but they do have so many injuries. Who knows how many more injuries they have to go? But the AL Central is definitely competitive for sure.
Yeah. Cleveland was actually, I was really high on Cleveland before the season. I had them making the playoffs even after losing Carrasco and Lindor. I actually had Jose Ramirez as my sleeper MVP pick. And I mean, he's not setting the world on fire, but solid. And then Shane Bieber, of course, is going to be a perennial Cy Young candidate for the foreseeable future. So, I mean, Cleveland right now, a lot of people thought after losing the pieces that they did, then they were just going to fall off, but they haven't done that.
Yeah, it's impressive. Definitely impressive.
Keeping it in the AL, switching it to your division of preference hubs. American League East, Baltimore's still doing it somehow. Boston's exceeded expectations. Tyler Glasnow is fascinating to watch. Yankees turning it around. It's only a month in, but who you got leading the way towards the postseason push?
The Yankees are going to pull away. The Red Sox are starting to come back and regress. I don't think their pitching can hold up. I don't think their pitching is any good. I don't think the relievers are as good as they've been. The relievers have been pretty solid. I think they've had like 4 really, really good guys. Their offense is really good. And it was weird that it wasn't as good last year. Maybe because JD couldn't cheat using his video in between at bats, whatever, which they took away and they gave it back to him this year. And now he's sitting, he's like an MVP candidate, all that. But I think the Yankees pitching, their relievers are rock solid, and they're getting Britton back at the end of the month. Their starting pitching has shown up the way I thought they would. I was a little, you never know which way it was going to go, but I did have faith in the potential of this rotation, and it's been solid. And they're going to get Severino back in like June or July, probably July. Now who knows what he's going to give you, but and then the offense, they get Luke Voigt back on Tuesday. Gio Urshela should be back. They're going to be full strength offensively, and they've been hitting better despite even like not setting the world on fire of late offensively, despite winning 7 of 9. They're 12th now offensively in all of baseball. And that's just going to get higher. I think they're just way better than every team in this division. And they'll show that. And I think they'll pull away and comfortably win the AL East.
What do you think of the theory that Ottavino was sent to Boston kind of as a spy?
Yeah, I love it. He's been nothing but terrible for them. I feel bad for the guy. He's a diehard New Yorker. He loves the Yankees. He loved growing up with them. And rooting for them. And he wanted to be Yankees so bad. It just didn't work out. Guy has control problems. And he hasn't seemed to fix them. And he's blowing games to them left and right. And I hope secretly he goes back to his like hotel or whatever, and he's like, he gets a little like, you know what? At least I'm just sabotaging this team sometimes.
Cuyler, it's a wide open race right now. Are the Yankees still going to pull it out in the end?
I think so. I mean, they just have so much talent. It's unbelievable. And I think they're going to add even more talent by the trade deadline. Hopefully a big lefty bat somewhere. But, I mean, yeah, I just don't think anyone else has the talent, even though with all the Blue Jays offseason additions and the Red Sox hot start, the Yankees they just have so much.
Yeah, I mean,
The Blue Jays just fail to address pitching every year.
Yeah.
And it's like, I can't respect it. The offense is sick, but when you just have Ryu, I know, Pearson's either they called him up or he's coming up. And then they have Robbie Ray, who I'll never take seriously. It's like, I don't know. That's not a rotation that's going to win the AL East to me. And their bullpen is nothing. But they got a good offense. Yeah, I mean, it should be a good race for second place in my mind.
in the AL West, the Oakland A's got off to a horrendous start, obviously turned it around in an enormous way. Houston, they're doing what we kind of expected them to do. Is it a two-horse race in the West, or are the Angels going to maybe put it together?
No, the Angels are not going to put it together. No. Another team like the Blue Jays that just fail to address pitching. Like, it's like, oh, Trout and Ohtani, like, why aren't they better? They have no pitchers besides Ohtani. It's absolutely nobody. You're relying on Dylan Bundy. Like, come on. And Jose Quintana. What are we doing here? Their bullpen's even worse. Texas is definitely playing better than they should be at 500 right now. That's impressive. Seattle, who knows with Kalenic? And maybe they get, I don't know. I don't totally hit. Now, obviously, they're always a first half team and they fade. And by July, they're 20 under. But I don't know. I always get tricked into Seattle sometimes. But that's a two-horse race as far as I'm concerned. And I think Oakland's actually significantly better than Houston this year, with the people that Houston lost and the injuries. Obviously, no Verlander. I like that Oakland team a lot. They're very dangerous.
Yeah, Seattle's guaranteed to win the next series because they're playing the Dodgers. But I mean, yeah, every year with Seattle, it's funny. They just have an amazing start, and then they realize that they're not actual contenders. So, yeah, I don't know. The Angels, I just feel so bad for Trout. We talk about this almost every podcast, but it's so sad.
Don't though, because he gets paid a lot of money.
Okay, true.
And he lives in LA.
Yeah.
Life
true.
could be a lot worse for Mike Trout.
I suppose so.
And he chose to. It's not like he's forced to stay. Like, he signed that contract, so it's like he's just like, he knew he was getting into this. He decided, hey, I'm going to live in my career in LA. I'm going to put up some gaudy numbers. I'm not going to win a single thing. Maybe make the playoffs like one time, maybe, and I'll be content. And I'll retire a Hall of Famer, one of the best to ever play the game, and I'll never win a thing in the playoffs. And it's okay. I'm going to have a lot of money, have generational wealth. And that's it. And he took that. Good for him.
Keeping it in the Bay, but switching it to the National League, San Francisco Giants, one of the most surprising teams of the year. The LA Dodgers, kind of, I don't know, maybe a World Series hangover. Padres doing what we expected them to do. Rockies, I don't think they even want to be out there anymore. So are the Giants for real, or is this just early season magic and then the Dodgers and Padres are going to smack everyone around?
Giants are fun, man. Fun team. And they got my boy Talkman now. The start that Buster Posey's on is crazy. I mean, hitting 400. What's he at? 8 home runs already? Something like that. 8 homers, 12 RBI. It's crazy what he's done. They've got a fun team. They got people who they remind me a lot of that Royals team that won the World Series. Like, a lot of just contact guys. like just strive on just putting the ball in play, see what happens. They've gotten some good pitching. I don't know, man. I mean, LA's having this weird start. I don't expect it to continue. I think they're going to wake up. And especially when, as long as Trevor, Bauer, Kershaw, and Bueller stay healthy, I think you're going to be okay no matter who. Dustin May being lost sucks. And I hate seeing him go down because that's one of the most fun pitchers in baseball to watch. Just 98-mile-an-hour two-seamers. It's insane. Seems like it should be an illegal pitch. But having Price down right now, Bellinger, the offense is taking a hit right now. And they're not really, and their big problem is their bullpen is this bunch of just absolute nobodies and minor leaguers who shouldn't be in the majors right now. That's really where the biggest problem is. And that could be an issue that like continues because who's coming to save this team? Because when Price comes back, probably going to be in the rotation to replace May. So it's like he's not going to be in the bullpen anymore. So I don't see how the Dodgers don't with how much talent they have. Similar to how you said how the Yankees, they have too much talent. The Dodgers have all the talent, more talent than the Yankees. So, but the Giants are fun, and the Padres obviously are going nowhere. That's a awesome team. That's the best division in baseball by far. That's what the AL East used to be. Teams just beat the crap out of each other and just be awesome, and every game felt like a playoff game with those three teams. So I'm expecting the Dodgers, Padres, and Giants to just slug it out, and the Dodgers to come out top, and probably the two wildcard teams to be in the playoffs would be from the NOS, be the Giants and Padres.
Yeah, I agree completely. I mean, with the Dodgers, the offense has been – it's usually either the bullpen or the offense that's a problem. And hopefully when Bellinger and Zach McKinstry come back.
Yeah, McKinstry too. McKinstry's been great.
The offense is going to get a little bit of a spark there. And then the bullpen, I mean, there's not a ton of reinforcements coming. Brusdar Graterol is hopefully going to be back soon. He had really good playoffs.
Yeah,
and,
he throws absolute gas, that guy.
And then by the playoffs, Corey Knebel.
Yeah, I was just going to Knebel.
Yeah.
He's going to be out to the playoffs?
No, not that long. Robert said a couple months.
Oh, okay. Oh, damn. Okay. I mean, listen, but like you can get guys off the market, and the Dodgers aren't afraid to do that. So they're going to add guys. Now who I don't know, but they're hurting bad in the bullpen. I know that for sure. I haven't watched a ton of their games because obviously late West Coast, but the complaints I've seen is they just don't hit right now, which that happens. Yeah, every team goes through those slides, but it's that they have like AA pitchers in their bullpen and they just blow these leads. And even the game they won the other day with the Angels 14-11, that they were up 13-0. And it was like, I was looking at who came in that pitch and I was like, who is this person? Like these two guys came in. And it's like, wow, it's crazy. It's crazy to see a team that just I thought would win an easy 105 games struggle like this, but it happens to everybody. It happened to the Yankees. People thought, oh, the Yankees are the only team struggling. You know what? No, the Dodgers are struggling too. And guess what's going to happen to the Red Sox as well? And it's going to continue. And it's the Mets are struggling for a little bit there, but eventually water will find its level and these teams will rise to the top.
Yeah, I don't know if people forgot after last season how long 162 games is.
Yeah,
it's a really long season.
It's incredibly. I mean, Giancarlo went like 0 for 8 at one point to begin the year, and everyone want him gone, and it's like insane. And then you see it, it's like he made a good point. I love the way he's handled the media since coming to New York has been brilliant, and like the way he's like, if I went 0 for 8 in like the middle of July, no one would say a thing, but because it's the start of the year, everyone wants me dead. He's like, you just got to work, you got to just tune it out. You'll be fine. 0 for 8 slumps happen to anybody. So yeah, I just love how he handled it. Now he's setting the world on fire and he's been the MVP of the Yankees. So it's funny how that works.
I actually wanted to switch gears from talking about division races and ask you a question, Hubs. What's like the biggest misconception about Yankee fans? Because living in New Jersey and being a Mets fan, like I probably would know one, or I have my own built up things that I think that they are like. But what's it like that when someone stereotypes you and you're like, that's just not how it is amongst the fan base?
I don't know. I think actually the stereotypes kind of live up to who they are. I mean, we're not all like it's a very divided fan base where like there are the gabagoos and there's guys like me who just, I'm not that guy. I'm just not that type of guy. I don't chant 27 rings at you. I realize we've won one title in fucking 20 years. It's a very, not everyone's the same, but there are plenty of the stereotypes found in you pick 50 Yankee fans out of a hat, you're going to find some of the stereotypes in some of those people. It's just, there's no stereotype that doesn't exist. It just doesn't exist with everybody.
Yeah, the 27 rings thing, I've heard that for my entire life. And it's just like, if that's that's when you win an argument, when they have to bring that up.
Yeah.
Because it's like, yeah, I got you with reason. And then you're like, oh, look at what Mickey Mantle did, like way, way long ago.
Yeah, the contrary, what I'll argue with that, I think Red Sox fans are turning into that, and it's funny. It's like, oh, we've won so much. Like, all right, man. Like, so I can't talk about 99 and 2000 and 96, but you can talk about fucking 04. Like, why? Because it's a few years difference and it plays your narrative. I get that I can't brag about the 20s. Like, I totally understand that, and like I do that, but like to tell me I can't brag about winning 4 and 5 years and having one of the best dynasties in sports history, probably the number one dynasty in sports history. Like, no, I'm not that. I don't buy. And don't tell me like, oh, it's because I was 7 years old at the time. I was watching those games. So, you can ask my parents. I was watching every single one of those fucking games. So that bothers me. But yeah, I don't go out and brag about Babe Ruth's play in the 1920s. You won't see me do that.
It's really nice to hear that, because so many of them that just like have their head in the sand. And it's nice that someone that, very tapped in, hosts the Yankee podcast. It's like, I'm not like that. So it's just very refreshing to hear.
Yeah, I have a brain. and I don't know, I've realized they've won once. They've won 2009 and that's it since 2000. It's crazy. So yeah, it's a long time, and they're not your father's Yankees at all. They're run differently. The Hal Steinbrenner Yankees are run way differently than the George Steinbrenner Yankees, and they make these trades to maneuver to get under the luxury tax. Yeah, they're not the same team. But hopefully it plays their way this year and they find the right pieces and make it work. Who knows?
Now going back to the NL Central division that a lot of people probably thought would be a lot better. Cincinnati Reds, a lot of fun there. Nick Castellanos has been doing pretty well. Chicago Cubs, been a disappointment, so that's probably going to get blown up soon. Milwaukee Brewers been without Yelich, and the Cardinals, who a lot of us probably thought would win, kind of running away with it. Is this just kind of a formality that they're going to just keep being consistent and win the division? Or is there a team that could possibly, once they're at full strength, make a push?
There's one team that went and got Arenado and no one else did, and that's the Cardinals. And they were the ones that pressed their foot on the gas and said, hey, let's go win this thing. We've been tired of the Cubs and the Brewers here. And those teams did really nothing in the offseason. And you mentioned the Cubs blowing it up. Yeah, I mean, if it stays the way it is, they had a little bit like, it's interesting what they're doing here. But yeah, I'd expect Bryant to be another team at the deadline. Baez maybe too. The way they're run and the way it sounds like from Cubs fans, not great. The Brewers can make some noise, especially with Yelich, not there, but that's another team that just never really adds enough starting pitching for me to really take them seriously. Now, granted, they've got 2 horses this year. And they haven't really had that in a long time. But it's the other 3 that like, who are your 3, 4, 5? So for me, it's the Cardinals division lose for sure.
I agree. Before the season, everyone expected the Cardinals to be above average and everyone else to be either average or below. The Cubs, it's hard to say they're a disappointment because this is just every year now for them, it seems like, although they had a decent 60 games last year. So yeah, I think the Cubs have to blow it up. Javier Baez is not having a good season at all, even though Chris Bryant is.
The decline of Javi Baez is shocking to me. I just can't. I don't get it. I do not get it. Do not get it one bit. Him and Gleyber Torres kind of just took a little dive at the same time. It makes no sense.
Yeah, Chicago definitely sad. They spent all the money and they won the World Series. And they
they won their World Series. They did it. They did their job. Like, they ended the curse. So like, can't really hate them too much for going all in.
Yeah, but it's unfortunate, especially if you're a Cubs fan, that this run wasn't as sustainable as a lot of us expected. Because when they won in 2016, we were like, oh, they could be here the next year and the year after. And now it's
you thought that core of Rizzo, Bryant, Baez, Schwarber was going to just run train on the Central at minimum, and if not get back to the World Series multiple times and maybe win a few more. And they didn't even come close, which is crazy.
Especially because they were all under contract and so
Right.
young. Chris Bryant was in year 2, winning MVP, winning World Series, and then that was the peak.
They
the
were
beginning.
they like did what people had hoped that the Aaron Judge, Glaber, Yankees did. Like they did it. Bryant was the star. They won the World Series. Like, wow, this is what the Yankees should be. These guys can continue to do it, and nosedive out of nowhere. And the Yankees have definitely stayed much more afloat. They just haven't hit that peak yet. So
Last division left, the NL East. Mets needed an appearance from Donnie Stevenson to really turn it around. Phillies doing what we expected them. The Braves a little bit surprising. Nationals are there. And then the Marlins kind of showed last year was a fluke. No one's there, so it's not really missed for
I
them.
will say they got the highest run differential in the whole division by a lot. They're the only team with a positive run differential, the Marlins, plus 19. Everyone else is negative. So don't totally sleep on them. They've got a young talent too to call up. I'm not totally out on them.
Yeah, and I think watching a lot of NL East games every night, it might be one of the most roller coaster inducing bullpens amongst the 5 teams ever. Because I'm only a fan of one of the teams, but I imagine wherever you are in the country, you watch a game and you're like, oh, X, Y, and Z is coming in. I better get like a bag because I'm not going to be able to breathe. I mean, from my perspective, Familia and Diaz, it's horrifying to watch. It is the worst pain you can feel as a fan, especially with Diaz, because he's like, he's gonna blow it, but then when he does it, it's like, oh wow, we did something.
I feel
Can't
like
wait
they've
to
been
do this
good
tomorrow.
I feel like they've been pretty good lately, though.
Yeah, they've definitely turned it around. And
which only means that a disaster blow up's coming very
Exactly.
soon.
Yeah,
I will say though, like to your point, like you watch and if any of these division rivals play each other, it's a dogfight. Like there's no true advantage unless DeGrom is pitching, obviously. But like if the Marlins are playing the Mets, like it can go anyway. Like it's not a good division, but it's a fun division because you just don't know what you're gonna get any single night. The Braves are definitely very disappointing from what I expected, especially that lineup. Phillies have been better, and I expect them to stay afloat and be in contention much more than usual. It's too much talent on that team to suck. The Mets are good. The Nats are definitely disappointing. Although they have, despite like having like the number 1 batting average in the National League, they're 4 under 500. And it's like, how? Why? I know Strasburg's been out, but I don't want to say it's the Mets division to lose, because God knows what they'll do with that confidence. But I think it's gonna be a pretty good dogfight between the Mets, the Phillies, and then the Braves. And the Marlins might make some noise in the wild card. Who knows?
Marlins are going to mess up the Mets season. I really can't wait to see it. They're going to like play a lot of games in the end of the year, and then they're going to win out of like 7 out of 9, and then the Mets are like, oh, only need a half a game more. And I don't like Rojas's decision making. Him in itself is a roller coaster, which is very hard to stomach because he's like so smart, but like he learned from Mickey Callaway, who's obviously made some questionable decisions, and he just like rubbed off on him in the worst possible way because the same stupid decisions he made now Rojas does. It's just a hard thing to stomach.
I don't think any Mets fan likes Rojas.
And it's a shame because like I feel like 10 years from now, if they brought him back and he went somewhere and had some success, it'd be like, oh, cool. But now living in this moment, it's tough to watch.
Yep.
Cuyler, how do you feel about this division?
I thought the Braves were going to not run away with this, but I thought they were going to win easily. And especially with the type of season Acuna's having, like the same thing that Hub said about Buxton and the Twins. If someone told me that Acuna was going to be the leading MVP candidate on May 10th and the Braves would be 500, I think they're 17-17 right now, then I mean, that's just disappointing, especially with that roster that they have. That lineup.
Yeah, Freeman's been bad. Well, I mean, he's still got the power, 9 homers, 21 RBIs, but 217 batting average. Obviously, still 352 OBP. Albies has had a down year. It's really just been Acuna carrying the load here. and their bullpen hasn't been good. Now they don't have really any big names in the bullpen. I guess they did just add Shane Green back, who might be a Brave. I feel like forever at this point. I feel like I just his name and the Braves just go hand in hand together at this point. But yeah, the Braves have been a disappointment. One of the bigger disappointments, I think, despite, I mean, they're 500, they're fine, like they're right in contention of the division, but I just thought, like you, they'd be in a much better spot right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Only got a little bit of time left. So Hubs, I want to ask you, what is the story in baseball we're not talking about that at the end of the season will be one of the big storylines at the conclusion?
Oh, one of the storylines we're not talking about that will be. That's not very easy. That's just such a hard question to ask out of the blue. We already have our Mets debacle, so we got that out of the way real quick. Padres have been good at. I mean, I don't know. What's your answer to that?
I think it's going to be how more teams didn't realize they need bullpen help. And then someone's going to get a big piece from an out of contention team and be like, oh, why didn't we trade for him? We needed, a real good setup guy. Like, I feel like if the Brewers are out of contention, someone's going to get Josh Hader. And then it's going to be.
You hear that every year, though.
Yeah, but if the Brewers are like really out of it and like so many teams need bullpen help, we just said 5 teams in one division that all have the yips. So someone's going to make the big move. If the Brewers, like you said, are willing to finally part with them.
Yep. Okay, so I'll give you a few. One, more of a league one. Just how drastic a change Manfred made to the balls and how much it affected the entire, like, you see runs are down so much, unless your name is Mike Trout. One second, it's my alarm. Runs are down so much throughout the league, and it's crazy how much he messed up with the balls just to try and I don't even know what the goal was. Like, people want to watch runs, they don't want to watch shutouts and people swinging. It's crazy. And then more my scope, I think 2 things with the Yankees where, and obviously the whole world revolves around the Yankees in my mind. No, I'm kidding. But Luis Severino's return in July. How does he look? Because that used to be one of the most exciting, young, amazing pitchers in the league. Hasn't pitched in 2 years, so he could change the whole course of the American League. And if he comes back, especially if Kluber's continue to pitch like this, and Tyone and Domingo and all that, along with Cole, very scary team potentially with that rotation if he comes back the way he should. And another one for longer term is Aaron Judge. After this year, has 1 year left on his deal. And right now he's not playing well. He's healthy, I guess, unless he's playing through something, which he always kind of is. And it's like, well, this offseason, if he doesn't play to like an Aaron Judge level, like, does he accept a low end extension, or is he going to test it 1 more year and play into basically a prove it deal, prove it year or whatever? Or do the Yankees think about trading him? So I think Aaron Judge's future, which is a big time storyline in Major League Baseball, could hang in the balance next few months, and that could be interesting to watch.
For me, I never thought I would say this, but I think the Pittsburgh Pirates, Detroit Tigers, and Colorado Rockies, their race for the top 2 pitchers in the draft, Jack Leiter and Kumar Rocker, I think those guys, I've been watching those guys over at Vanderbilt, and those guys are, I think, the future of the league right there. Those are 2 of the best college pitchers we've ever seen with the most MLB potential. And so those are 3 teams that desperately want one of those 2 pitchers. And I want to see how much they're actually going to sell to lose. I know there's not that huge tanking in the MLB that we see in other leagues like that, but
it's already set though, isn't it? The draft order's set.
Oh, is it? It's not.
Yeah, I mean the Pirates have the first pick, so that's a storyline itself. Is do the Pirates go with Leiter, or do they go with the shortstop kid from Vanderbilt?
Yeah.
And then 2, I want to say I assume it's the Rockies and Tigers are 2 and 3 or whatever, and then the Red Sox are 4. Hope to God Kumar Rocker and Leiter are gone before it goes to the Red Sox. That's my hope.
I actually think Rocker could go ahead of Leiter.
Oh, I don't think so. I think Leiter's. I think they're a little scared about Rocker's control, just from things I've read. Leiter is so good.
Yeah.
So nasty. I think he is like a perfect pitcher that like true, like Steven Strasburg almost when he came out, like that good. But Kumar Rocker obviously very good too.
Yeah, there is a lot to watch and a lot still to digest. It's only May. We still got 4 more months of this. An enormous thank you to Eric Hubbs. If you don't know where to find him, Barstool Sports, the Short Porch Podcast. A big thank you to you for joining us, Cuyler Huffman, here with us. That's all the time that we have for today. Hubbs, anything you want to leave us with?
Nope, that's it. Go Yankees. Let's win the division.
We will be back tomorrow with another one. We're going to talk some NBA. But yeah, that's all we got. Hope everyone stays safe. Thank you for listening. At Wavelengths Pod on Instagram, at the Sports Wave on Instagram as well. Thank you to everybody. A lot to be thankful for. So we'll see you on the next one.